What's going on, YouTube? While most people nowadays are shopping for SUVs, often forgotten are sedans like this, the 2026 Kia K5, which packs in a great deal as well as a lot of fun driving dynamics. They're making some slight tweaks to this value-packed model for 2026. So what are they? And should you buy this over the default Camry, Accord, or SUV? Let's go ahead and find out.
Let's kick off this review with a quick spec dump. Now, under the hood of this GT model, we have a 2.5-liter turbo 4-cylinder making 290 horsepower. Power is routed to the ground with a 8-speed dual-clutch transmission and via the front wheels only, and the combined fuel economy for this model is 27 mpg combined.
Now, the base price of the K5 for 2026 is only $27,000. And if you're looking to buy one or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, later on in this drive, we're also going to be taking it out for a spin to show you the performance, as well as get things like our sound level reading. And at the end, we'll discuss resale and reliability.
But the K5 has always been a really stylish sedan, so let's dive into the exterior design as well as the well-equipped interior.
So let's start out here with the exterior design of the K5. Now, Kia extensively refreshed this model last model year, so we're not going to see any huge design changes for 2026, but we do still have a very handsome overall look to it. Now, we're in the fully loaded sportiest trim, the GT, so that means up here in the front, we're going to have a very aggressive look. Some of the other trim levels will have slightly different design elements, but all of them are going to look quite sporty. We have a gloss black finish to our grille through here, and then if we go up to our headlights, you'll see a very distinct design. Now, these are going to be very premium headlights. They're standard reflector LEDs on every single model. They kind of have a multi-beam setup. We also have the very distinct amber daytime running light that was updated last year. And then if you choose a GT or GT line, you'll get those LED fog lights as well, which is becoming very rare. Now let's go ahead and talk about the wheels. Now, when it comes to this, we have the 19-inch alloy wheel, which is actually the largest wheel size that you can get in the K5 lineup. You start at 16-inch wheels, and for 2026, I do want to point out there has been a change here. So if you get the GT line with the premium package, you're going to have a new 18-inch gloss black finish wheel, which honestly looks very similar to this fully loaded GT model. I think that's a nice change. Now, also new for 2026, at least Kia said, you're not supposed to have the GT text on the brake caliper itself. That was according to their official press release, but maybe they had some leftover 2025 brake calipers on this one, since you can clearly see it. Now, as far as the mirrors are concerned, we have a gloss black finish up here, and they're going to be loaded with features, way more than you'd expect. We have heating and blind spot monitoring, standard on all models. You additionally have things like power folding when you choose an EX or above. Now, the overall vehicle length of the K5 is 193.1 inches, which is a good size for this midsize segment. And as far as design touches, you will notice this piece of chrome kind of comes from the front and sweeps all the way into the rear. And we do have a fully blacked out roof on this model. That's because we have the panoramic roof option. There's not actually a two-tone traditional paint scheme. Now, as far as the rear design is concerned with this K5, this thing is very good looking, I have to say. It kind of has a lot of the design elements influenced from the Stinger of years past. And then as far as individual touches, so the rear window will kind of sweep back into this piece, which is going to be finished in a gloss black. As far as our taillights are concerned, they were updated to go full length all the way across the back, and they're also going to be nicely LED. So you have your LED brake light and turn signal indicator. It's their latest Kia design language, and then you have an incandescent reverse light down below. Now, as far as the rear diffuser is concerned, I'm happy to tell you this GT model gets a quad exhaust outlet setup. It's a very cool look, but all the models will have some exhaust. Safety is obviously an important part of a midsize sedan, and Kia knows that. They're giving you all of your active safety features as standard equipment on the K5. The only exception to that is that you will have to go for a higher end example to get highway drive assist. But guys, there's quite a bit to talk about on the inside and all the value that you're going to find in there. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
And if you want to know about all the latest and greatest rides, then make sure to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the newest cars.
Now, before we head into the interior, I want to tell you about Delete Me, a service that removes all of your personal data online and is the sponsor of today's video. Your is the key word there because it belongs to you. But there are companies called data brokers that sell your personal data to anyone willing to pay for it. That means your full name, email, home address, health records, your relatives, it's all out there for scammers, spammers, and anyone else to target you. That creeps us out, which is exactly why we use Delete Me.
Delete Me makes it quick and easy to remove that information, which is very important to us because we are always busy reviewing the latest and greatest cars. All you have to do is submit your personal information, and Delete Me's experts begin finding and removing it across the web for you.
Heading into my privacy dashboard, as you can see, they found over 200 places where my personal information was listed. There's also a handy report that shows exactly which sites they found my data on and the status of the removal process.
If you also want to take back control of your online privacy, you can get 20% off Delete Me consumer plans when you go to joindeleteme.com/carconfections and use promo code CarConfections at checkout.
That's joindeleteme.com/carconfections and use promo code CarConfections at checkout. Now, let's get back to the video.
Now let's go ahead and hop into the very well-appointed cabin. But first, let's start out with the key fob. Nothing crazy here. You're going to have Kia's newest design of their key fob. I really love the shape and the look of this. You can have standard smart entry and remote start on all models. And if you get the GT1 package like we have today or the EX model, you're also going to have digital key 2.0. And I'm going to mention as we walk up to the door here that this is a very well-appointed model. The GT1 package adds a lot of features, and so we're going to be focusing on what this fully loaded model has today. And that's going to start out here with the seats. All but the base model are going to have a Syntex leatherette seating, and the GT gets a exclusive look to it with this neon stitching detail all throughout the seat. I really love this design, and it's very nice and sporty, matches the brake calipers as well. You're also going to have a fully power adjusting seat with 2 ways of lumbar support, and this model also has memory, which is up there in the door trim. But let's go ahead and dive on into the rest of the cabin. Now let's explore the interior materials, starting over here with the door trim itself. You have a lot of gloss piano black going along the side here, as well as some leather padding here on the armrest. That leatherette with a stitching detail continues up into here, as well as a patterned plastic as well that really gives it an overall sporty look. Soft touch materials all across the top of the dash here. This is more of a padded plastic, more of that pattern plastic going through here, and you're going to have hard touch on your center console. Everything fits really well together. But let's go ahead and start it up with the standard push button start. So with the K5's refresh last year, Kia did make some updates to the technology, and that starts out with the gauge cluster here. Standard on all models is a 4.2-inch digitally reconfigurable cluster, but you get the fully reconfigurable 12.3-inch display on the top models as you see today. That also unlocks the ability for the blind spot view camera, which I really love on all Hyundai Kia products. Now there is no head-up display for the GT model, but you do have a special sports style steering wheel with a flat bottom. It's also leather wrapped and has heating as equipped. Now I think you'll be impressed with the interior storage here on the K5, so let's start out with the center console. So when I open it up, you're going to see some donuts inside. That's because we use our Car Confections logo, the donut itself, to measure center console volume to compare it to other vehicles in its segment and across all the segments. In this, you're going to have a full dozen donuts, which I think will give a lot of crossovers a run for their money. As I close it up here, there continues to be more storage. There's a little cubby right here, as well as cup holders, and then another cubby up here that also includes your wireless charger that is included on the GT line and above. Now, even with all that storage, you still do have a physical shifter. You just pull back for drive. You can either bump it over to the side or use the paddles for some manual shifting. They have a really nice feel, I will mention as well. And when you go into reverse, top models include a 360-degree camera, which includes the very luxurious 3D spin around feature, which we really have come to love. Now, when you put it into park, you also see that you have auto hold and your electronic parking brake behind the shifter. Also in the area behind the shifter, you'll see some toggles here for your heated seats, which are standard on the GT line and above. Ventilation comes optional on the top models and is standard on the EX. You also have your drive mode selector. And let's go and continue talking about the climate here in this panel with some physical controls for your standard dual zone automatic climate. I like that you do have the switches here to make manual adjustments to it. But the fancy thing about this area is the fact that this also doubles as your audio controls as well. So when it comes to your audio, this is also your volume switch. You're going to have a standard 6-speaker audio system, but on top models, you're going to get a 12-speaker Bose premium audio. Let's go ahead and give that a sample. All right, I'm going to switch it back to the volume knob, and we're actually going to give it a sample after I turn the vents back down. There we go. You can see how that works in real life. There we go. Let the beat drop there. I really do like this premium audio system. I would definitely upgrade to that if you're an audiophile. But other than that, I think the 6 speakers will be great for most people. But let's go ahead and move on into the screen here. It was also part of the updates for last year, which includes a 12.3-inch digital display. But the most important thing about this system is that you have Kia's new CCNC software, which, as you saw on the screen there, includes things like wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you also have things like integrated navigation. Everything works really well and is super quick to move through. Now, as we finish up the cabin, all models have an optional auto-dimming mirror, so you are even going to have a manual mirror if you don't opt it on this top model. But one thing that you do get on your top models is a panoramic moonroof that does open up at the top. It's a really premium option that I like on this model.
Now let's talk about the rear seat area of the K5. So when it comes to this, Kia is saying you have about 35 inches of legroom and about 38 inches of headroom. Now those specs actually do put it on the smaller end for the midsize sedan segment. However, I think that their measurements are a little bit off because I'm 5'9" for reference. This seat is adjusted to a 5'8" driving position. And as you can see, I have plenty of room. That's one of the reasons why we bring along the official Car Confections rulers to see how much realistic knee room you find, and look at that, we're sitting at about 10.5 inches of knee room, and my feet can slide up underneath the seat, so definitely don't be concerned about space. We actually own a 2025 Toyota Camry, and this seems very similar, if not more space than that model. Now, if we fold down the center armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside. That's good for fitting a normal size bottle like that, no problems. And then here in the center, if you choose some of the higher end examples, you will get the rear vents as well as things like these USB ports. Just be aware, heated back seats are not offered on the K5, so that's something that some of the competition does include. And then as far as the door trim is concerned, we have a pretty nice one, soft touch plastic on the upper part, leatherette all through the center section, and on the armrest portion, there's also just a bit of door storage down below, but it's not very big. Now let's check out the trunk area. We have a button right there to release the trunk, and as you can see, it is very nicely dampened. As far as the overall cargo capacity, we're sitting at 15.6 cubic feet of cargo space in the K5. That's a good amount. It's very similar to its rivals like the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord. And by the way, if you happen to be cross-shopping this K5 with other affordable sedans, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. Now, the reason you do that is because we've gone across numerous vehicle segments and ranked those in individual categories that might matter more or less to you. Things like cargo capacity, interior technology, reliability, safety systems, all of that is detailed for you on our website, so you can see those best options for you. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely utilize that tool. Now back to the K5, this is a sedan after all, so let's go ahead and get some of our cargo length, width, and height figures. It's a Car Confections review. 45 inches of cargo length is what you can expect behind the seats. By the way, they do fold 60-40 split. And then as far as the opening, 39 inches. And the height comes in at 21 inches. Now, of course, that's not going to be as good as something like an SUV. You could get a Kia Sportage that'd be a little bit more practical, but overall, it's not bad. Your load-in height is about 29 inches. Now, if we lift up the floor, there is a spare tire underneath, which is also kind of something that is becoming increasingly rare across the industry. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2026 Kia K5, and this test drive we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. We'll also be getting things like our sound level reading, but first we have to start with a hard acceleration. All right, there's 60 miles per hour with the 2026 Kia K5. Now, as you could probably tell from that acceleration, we have the fast one. That is known as the GT. So what we have under the hood is a 2.5 liter turbo four-cylinder making 290 horsepower, 311 pound-feet of torque. Those are just really, really stellar power figures. There are very few options. Honestly, there might not be any options past this model and the Sonata inline, of course, that offer a super powerful option like this. Things like the Toyota Camry as well as the Honda Accord. Most of the versions are just going to be fully hybridized.
Yeah, and we have spent a lot of time with this powertrain when it comes to the old Hyundai Sonata inline that we used to own. We really loved living with it on the day-to-day. It really delivers power nice and quick, but if you feel like you don't need that full power, there is another powertrain option on the K5. It is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated four-cylinder making 191 horsepower, 181 pound-feet of torque for more usual everyday driving.
Yeah, and we've also reviewed that model several times, so if you'd like to check that out, we do have reviews on the channel where we've driven that base powertrain. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with that, but for those of you that have a performance edge, we certainly like the extra power. This GT is definitely the way to go. So as you can see, when you press the throttle down hard, because this vehicle is front-wheel drive, it definitely will chirp the tires. So that's kind of like the fun thing about this vehicle, is it will certainly lose traction because there's just so much power and torque going to the front wheels. Now, as far as the transmission is concerned, what we have on board is an 8-speed dual-clutch transmission here for the GT model. This is going to be the more performance-oriented transmission. It does a really great job with the shifts. It gives a really crisp ones, and they're also very fast. That's really the reason why you have the dual clutch on board. Just be aware it is a little bit rougher around town compared to what you're going to get on most K5 models, which will just be a regular 8-speed.
Yeah, and as Mason mentioned, the wheel spin comes courtesy of front-wheel drive exclusive for most of your models, but Kia did add, with the refresh, the availability to get all-wheel drive on the GT line models only, so you cannot get all-wheel drive with this more powerful engine.
Now we're back here on a back road, and one of the reasons why you get the K5 GT is just because of its overall driving dynamics. Now, picking a sedan over an SUV is automatically going to get you a lot better dynamics than your average SUV, but I have to say, very impressed with the overall feel of this. The steering is a very fast responding. There's minimal body roll, and really Kia has just done a great job of making this a vehicle that you can cruise down the highway and have a lot of comfort, which we'll talk about in just a second, but also have fun on a back road. All right, and we are speeding up to 55 miles per hour, so let's get our sound level reading. Went ahead and toggled us to fan speed 1, and our vented seats are off as well.
55.2 decibels is what we are sitting at in this K5 GT, and I don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to all of its rivals in the midsize sedan segment. I can go check that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. Now that reading puts it at the middle of the mid-size sedan segment, and I think that's just because Kia has tuned this K5 GT to be a little bit more sporty. The suspension is a little less giving, which we're about to talk about when it comes to the ride quality, but historically, the mainstream K5 models have been some of the quietest in the segment overall.
Yeah, and like Josh was saying, let's talk about ride quality. This vehicle, by no stretch of the imagination, is harsh riding. It is still a very comfortable vehicle. However, you can definitely tell they have put a sporty edge for this GT specifically. When you hit a bump in the road, some of that will come into the cabin just a little bit. But overall, I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised that they've balanced, good driving dynamics with also good ride quality. These seats are going to be a little firm, but I think for most people, it'll be perfectly fine.
And I do like that they have a little bit of extra bolstering to hold you in when it comes to tighter cornering. Now, how will this GT model perform when it comes to fuel economy? You might be surprised to figure out that you don't have to sacrifice too much in combined fuel economy numbers when it comes to getting this turbocharged engine. The regular naturally aspirated models come in at 27 mpg combined, whether or not you choose front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, but this GT comes in at 27 mpg combined, which is honestly pretty good for a turbocharged model. You can still have a lot of fun, but then go down the highway and get up to 33 mpg combined as you're rated for your highway number.
Yeah, and back when we used to own the Sonata Inline, that was one of the things that did so well in was the highway cruising itself. It was very, very efficient. Now let's go ahead and get into our Car Confections Slam Dunk and Airball, our favorite and least favorite element. I'll kick us off with the Slam Dunk and just say, I'm sure you've already seen it throughout this review, but this model is just jam-packed with value. Quite frankly, you won't be finding all of these features and performance in an SUV for under $40,000, which this one, by the way, is under $40,000 with all the options. And also, other rivals like the Toyota Camry and Honda Accord have kept creeping up in price. A fully loaded Camry is like mid $40,000 now, so this is significantly cheaper.
Yeah, on the Airball side of things, we're just going to kind of nitpick this overall packaging, and just across many Kia models in general, we really just wish they would get rid of this whole multi-purpose center area for both the climate and the audio controls. You might have seen it in the interior section, me fumbling in between the controls and then jacking up the AC instead of turning up the volume. We just wish they would get rid of that, give us something a little bit more simplified.
It's kind of like a tease. The more you live with the car, it's like you go to grab the knob, but you never know what you're on, so it kind of defeats the point of a knob. And let's talk pricing. So for 2026, Kia did raise the price a little bit, but it's not a significant amount. It's only about $400, so really not too much to consider there. We start at $27,390 for the base trim level, and as you go up the trim structure, you can see all the prices on the screen right now, but really all the trims are quite affordable for this vehicle. We have the top-end GT, which is, of course, the fast one, 2026, but we also have the optional GT1 package. That's a big ticket item, but basically gives you the fully loaded features, plus $1,175 destination. All told, we're sitting at $39,560 as tested today, which is quite a bit less than a fully loaded Toyota Camry. Now, if you're looking to buy a Kia K5 or any new vehicle, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool for dealership negotiation. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. But buying a vehicle is about more than just that original MSRP, so let's discuss resale and reliability. First up, let's talk about resale value. As an economics graduate myself, we took the time to develop what we think is a good estimate for this Kia K5's potential resale value. We estimate that after 5 years and 60,000 miles, it'll be worth 49.02% of original MSRP, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 21.1%. Now, it's worth noting those are right at the industry average for all vehicle makes when it comes to resale value percentages. Just be aware that some of its competition, such as the Toyota Camry, Honda Accord, would have higher resale value.
Now, we've also done the same when it comes to reliability by creating the Combined Reliability Index, which takes into account a variety of data from trusted automotive resources. Based off of this metric, Kia is rated above the overall industry average.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about our resale values, our reliability data, or our methodology, be sure to go to carconfections.com/resale and carconfections.com/reliability. Buying a new vehicle is a very big decision, so you want to make sure you're making a smart purchase, especially if you're cross-shopping between different vehicle brands. Now, when it comes to your warranty, Kia does have really the best warranty in the business. It's a 5-year, 60,000-mile basic warranty, a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. Just be aware they do not include any complimentary maintenance. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2026 Kia K5. If you enjoyed watching this video and found it helpful in your purchasing decisions, which is the whole reason we made this video, we'd really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family. We have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies. Thanks again to Delete Me for sponsoring today's video. If you want your data to be removed from the internet, be sure to visit Delete Me in the video description to get 20% off.